play really old campy cartoon music sometimes during these safe times, which is daytime on the level, and then the music will play until nighttime when it gets really unsafe and unstable and lots of entities start to come out. But I'm going to explain those entities during the entity explanation section of the video. The grassy hills of the level are actually infinite, and they just keep repeating themselves over and over again. But sometimes there will be like a random car parked on the side of the road, or you might run into a water tower that's just there. And sometimes on the top of the hills themselves, there's random pieces of furniture, chairs or tables, just sitting there. Which is pretty unsettling, I gotta be honest with you. But it's not as unsettling as the transparent hills that are there. Hills that you can literally see through, that have castles sitting on top of them. That's terrifying. I mean, that'd be pretty trippy. Like, just imagine walking up to an invisible hill that you can see through and seeing a whole castle just on top. I'm not even sure how, like, my brain would process that, but whatever. You can actually walk up the Invisihill, get an invisible hill, and get to the castle. But the castle area specifically is known for draining sanity, so be sure to carry almond water with you so you don't go off the deep end. Inside of the castle, you'll notice that there's a huge funhouse area. In fact, the entire castle itself is a funhouse, playhouse, whatever you want to call it. It's full of play sets, slides, ballrooms, ball pits, the other typical funhouse stuff. If you wander through this castle enough, you'll actually run into a huge doorway that opens into the throne room, where of course the entity called the Animated King lives. And you'll be tricked into a false sense of security by the Animated King because he seems nice and stuff at first, but he'll actually try to control you instead of helping you. So watch out for that. The Animated King will put you through a test before he turns you into an animation entity, which I'll get into what an animation is in a second. But if you pass this test, you might be sent out of the level, and if you fail, well, you're probably not going to be leaving anytime soon. Now let's get into some creatures, shall we? So there are actually a lot of entities and creatures here, and they're very dangerous, especially at nighttime. As per usual, you got your regular entities like Smilers, Skin Stealers, Hounds, and male death moths, and even death rats, which are slightly less common, but still pretty common. But the level exclusive entity, like I said, is called an animation. And these things look like stop motion characters, but they're very hostile, pretty creepy on the line. And they attack victims based off of what they look like themselves. So like if an animation entity is a claymation character, then it will try to drown its victim in clay. What? Or if the animation entity is like wood or something like that, then it will try to hit its victim with blunt force, and so on and so forth. You get the point. They aren't very smart though, so you can pretty much avoid them with ease. Just make sure you don't get caught by them, or, you'll drown in clay, or be beat over the head by a bat. The other level exclusive entity is called the Robo-Men, which are just retro robot toys from the early 1900s that live inside the castle, and they kind of act like the guards of the castle, and they're really hostile and will instantly attack you if they see you. So just avoid the large walking robots. To enter this weird place, you have to successfully escape the end level and then go to the hub level right after. When you're there, a rectangle hole will just manifest itself in the ground inside of the hub, and it'll slowly start to close over time. And if you want to exit, you can either complete the Animated King's trial and pass it by conquering your fears in animated form, or you can get teleported into level 7, 9, or 53 by randomly going into one of the houses on the hills in the level. So to summarize, this pretty interesting level, pretty cool level as well, it's pretty much just a Dreamcore world filled with weird animated glitchy type things that kind of makes you feel peaceful and at home until you get to the literal invisible hill with a castle on it, where you'll be forced to watch your biggest fears unfold in animation. If you pass, then you can leave, and if you don't, then you're condemned to stay here forever as an animation entity. Pretty neat! So this Backrooms level as a whole is classified as a class variable difficulty and is unstable and has varying safeties and varying levels of danger depending on where you're at. And I say that because the level is split up into two different different sub-levels so far, and both of them are pretty much fully unexplored. All we have is a few pictures from a wanderer or two that have been here. So first up, we have sub-level 1, and it's so new that we haven't even named it. We're just calling it sub-level 1. But it's classified as a class habitable zone, and is very safe. But it is the only safe one out of the two, so don't get used to it. It looks to be a huge grass meadow that goes out for several hundred feet. The meadow itself is green and bright, and it typically looks like a spring day. There is a day and night cycle, so you do have to worry about getting cold sometimes, but that's pretty much all that's here that's dangerous. And there are only a couple of anomalous and strange things that have even happened here. The first one is that random supplies and objects fall from the sky and land in the forest. Now, this forest is what's surrounding the meadow I talked about, and it seems like these objects just fall from nowhere, but some of them can be pretty useful. Supplies like tools and almond water and even wood planks to build stuff with, you just never know what's gonna fall. And that's all weird, of course, but there is one more weird thing. You actually cannot no-clip out of this sub-level. No matter how hard you try, you can't leave except one single exit, which I'll get into in a second. But the no-clipping effect just doesn't work. And that's kind of like the green mist level that I went over a couple weeks ago. That level also doesn't let you no-clip either. So let me know in the comments why you think that you can't no-clip out of these levels. What does it mean? Is the backrooms breaking? Is it learning and getting more powerful so it doesn't let people leave? Who knows? So further out in the meadow, there is a concrete shack that has an open door on it. And the shack is actually the entrance to the next sub-level. Inside of it, there's a small manhole cover in the floor with one of those manhole grate things on top that you have to open to go down. Now, you should not be going here because the next sub-level is easily one of the dangerous places in the back rooms and terribly more dangerous than this meadow area. But if for some reason you want to go, I'm going to explain it now. But around this shack, people have reported that they get weird senses of paranoia and overwhelming fear without even going in it. And when they're inside of it, they're kind of just overtaken with fear and paranoia. Unless you're insane, you shouldn't go in the shack. And if you do, you'll be sent to the next sub-level, which is classified as a class zone and is extremely dangerous, and currently no one has left, alive at least. Now, this sub-level 2 area is an endless labyrinth of stinky, damp, dark concrete tunnels that are dimly lit by old-looking lights. And the tunnels are pretty much unmapped completely because they're so windy and curvy, and they almost seem to change every once in a while. The halls are dotted with entities in some of the spots, and lots of them are actually unknown or undocumented entities. But of course, there are some normal ones, like skin stealers and death moths and faceleys and clumps and hounds. You know, the typical kind. But if you run into any of those that I just listed, then you need to turn around and walk the other way slowly. Not like it's gonna help much, but, you know, I'm just trying to be nice here. There's also a level exclusive entity here called the Puddles. These puddles are made out of a thick black substance that will try to attack and detain people who walk by. The liquid is sticky and it seems to be sentient in a way, and it seems to be some kind of super creature that literally lives just to eat people. It's kind of like what the symbiotes look like from Venom, that kind of material. But yeah, it literally just attacks anything it sees, even other entities. But of course, there are other hazards in these concrete halls, like partygoers and smilers, but typically these are only found deep into the halls in the glitchy warping areas, which eventually the halls themselves will just start to decay and get glitchy and warp and almost like an error message when you get too far into them. Now, it's actually thought that if you do walk far enough into them, there will eventually be no entities or puddles or any dangers, actually. And this comes from a user named I Am Stoppable, who posted this image to Meg Authorities on August 8th, 2022. That user claims that the picture they took is a safe spot that people are currently living in. And the user has said that since they've got there, the smell in this area has gotten worse and more sour, and that the grass seems to be decaying, and even the concrete walls around them are broken and decaying, and are starting to show bricks instead of concrete, which might mean that the bricks on the other side of the concrete is how you get to the next sub-level. But we don't know for sure. As of right now, there's just two that we know of, the metal and the concrete tunnels. No one knows why the tunnels are decaying and showing bricks instead of concrete, but some people think the level is on the verge of exploding or completely decaying on top of itself. So who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments. So yeah, as of right now, all we know is two sub-levels. One is a nice, safe meadow area, and the next is a terrifying concrete maze of hallways full of entities and decay and sentient black sludge that wants to eat you. But yeah, that was Backrooms level 1069. Hope you enjoyed it. Backrooms level 9999 is classified as a class pending, which means that its safety is undetermined and there is also an unknown entity count. Pretty much, no one is really sure if this level is safe or not. Now, the level itself looks like an abandoned amusement park that's covered in a thick fog, almost always. The park is on some sort of island, and around this island is an ocean. And the ocean is very, very deep, like extremely deep. And the water is actually salt water, like real-life oceans. Right off the bat, it is not recommended to go into the water because nothing is known about it. No one knows if there's any entities in there, or if it's just unalive if you go into it. Who knows? Now, the amusement park itself is pretty normal compared to real-life ones. There are a ton of rides, like roller coasters and merry-go-rounds, and all the typical stuff that you've seen in real life. There's also a lot of Ferris wheels. Now, all of what I just told you is pretty normal, right? You know, it's pretty accurate to how our life is as well. Except on this level, the roller coasters are very weird. They have very strange and anomalous effects that can either be extremely good or extremely bad for you. And I'm going to explain what that means now. Each coaster is an exit from this level, but it's not as easy as just hopping on one and being sent out. Instead, the leading theory is that the level itself will choose if you can leave based off of your karma. That's right, your karma. Pretty much the level somehow figures out how good or bad of a person you are based off of your entire life. And it goes off of however good or bad it thinks you are in order to choose which level it sends you to. So when you get to a roller coaster, the level will just choose how good or bad you are as a person, and then based on how it chooses, it'll either send you to a nice level or a dangerous level. And on top of this, whatever it chooses, the ride will then turn to be either dangerous, foggy, or clear. If the roller coaster turns dark and gloomy, like you're seeing now, then the level apparently thinks that you're not a good person based off of your life's deeds. The sky will turn dark and then red, and then the ocean around the level will go from water to liquid pain. Once this is all happening, you'll be sent to a scary or terrifying level in some way, like level exclamation mark, or the void, or something like that. If the roller coaster does not change, and it stays at its normal fogginess, then the level thinks you're a neutral person, and that you're not that bad, but you're also not that good. People on the neutral roller coasters are probably sent to one of the first 5 levels, but it's unknown because we can't tell. Now, if the level's fog goes away and a bunch of lights come on, then the level has decided that you have good karma and are a good person. When the level's in this state, it looks like a normal carnival from real life, and the fog that's normally on this level is gone. It's also thought that you'll be sent to a pretty safe level, like level 6999 or level 11, if it chooses that you're a good person. Of course, these are all just guesses based on how we think the level reacts to people. Could be something else entirely, though. Who knows? I mean, this is the Backrooms. We have no idea. But if none of that makes sense, I'm going to explain it in the simplest way possible. You can get on a random roller coaster on this level, and then that roller coaster, or the level itself, will choose if you are a good person or not. And whatever roller coaster you're on will then transform into either a dark and gloomy one, a normal foggy one, or it will clear up and it'll be lit up and nice. And based off of what the level chooses, you'll be sent to either a dangerous, mildly dangerous, or safe level. The only entity here on this level is facelings. And if you don't know what they are, they're just semi-sentient humanoid beings with a blank face. And on this level, they've been seen walking around the rides and riding them, except there's never been any scene on the roller coasters. Only people have been there. Weird. There are no colonies or outposts here, and to enter...
Yeah. Well, I'll see you in 4 years. I might be here still in this dimension, or I might be in another dimension. Either way, I'll see you then.